we have audio issues fixed, and everybody can hear everything. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 88 of the Gene Pool Variety Hour. I am the old guy of the group. I'm Sean. I'm dad of this duo. And the guy on the other screen with all the posters behind him is...
Greetings, young mortals. I am QuillMiester, a.k.a. the Storyteller. Also known as Connor, this guy's son.
Yeah, that guy. So
I'm just being weird tonight.
So anyway,
well, actually, hold on. When am I not weird?
That is 100% accurate.
I think the
accurate.
longest time. Okay, I think the longest time I've ever gone without being weird is that time I was inside Mom's stomach.
Oh, you were probably weird then too. You just didn't know it. So that would be my guess. So anyway,
I mean, didn't I come out of there? Come out of there like freaking Looney Tunes frog.
Yeah,
hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my ragtime girl.
Well, you did come.
You using the placenta as a top hat.
No, that was Luke. Luke used his. Luke used his placenta as a frisbee because it splattered on the floor.
What the? What?
Oh yeah,
okay,
you didn't hear about. Okay, so
is that true? Is that true?
100%, 100%. So
wow.
So with you, Mom only pushed for 4 minutes. Mom was good at birthing babies. So
I was ready to come out.
So by the time the doctor got there, he basically just come in there and be Johnny Bench and catch you as you came out. I mean, and with Luke, Mom pushed once. But then, later on, when the nurse was cleaning up, she was walking across the room, and your mom and I heard splat, and the nurse was mortified because she dropped the placenta on the floor and it splatted across the floor, and your mom and I died laughing, and the poor nurse at this Catholic hospital was mortified. Anyway, so yeah, enough of that. So we're just a bunch of nerds that like to talk about nerdy stuff. We will review random movies. We have decided to start trying some new things. So last week we had a guest on. We had TV's Travis on last week and tried a new segment. A new segment that we're starting called Ever Changing Story, which
I think was a rousing success.
I thought it went pretty well. I had to suck up the end and do the last bit, which was hard to tie it up with what was left on the dice board to finish up the story, and I'm out of shape in storytelling, so it took me a while, and so hopefully that'll get better. But yeah, it was interesting. It turned out better than I thought it would. Where we just make up a random story. We roll story dice, and each of us take 3 dice and take turns starting a story and finishing this story. Just make it up on the fly. So we did that last week. We've got some other ideas.
I just love Travis.
Oh, Travis
he's a great guy. Me and him had an in-depth conversation about DC Comics and then specifically towards the end about the different iterations of Joker and if Joker as a character could be redeemed in some way.
Right, which we all
it was a rousing no on all fronts, but it's still a very fun conversation to have. It was like a what if.
It was a resounding no on mine and Travis's. We had to convince you, but anyway, so we got some other ideas that we got coming up that are going to involve guests. We need to get some guests lined up, and we had some logistical issues in the month of June, so it's kind of delayed some things. So we've got something we're going to do for the entire month of July with me and Connor that we're going to do, and then starting in August we're going to start having guests again and do some of those kind of things. We'll talk about those things more down the road. But we also the thing that we always do is we always pick a movie at random. We roll dice to pick a movie completely at random and review that, or I wouldn't say review. I would say just talk about, because we're not movie reviewers. So that's kind of what we do. Connor usually has some kind of weird question he wants to ask, and we talk about that. We usually end up in a debate about that, and then we just chase lots of chickens, where we will just something will take us down a rabbit hole, or the chicken coop, and we'll go there for who knows how long. So anyway, where do you want to start tonight? Do you want to start with a question? Do you want to start with the movie? What do you want to start with?
Well, that's the thing. What we're testing out tonight isn't our classic geek question, you know?
Yeah, go ahead. But we can. If you got a question ready?
Dad. You know me. I always have a question
okay.
ready.
Well, I can go ahead and push the jingle anyway.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions, and I want to have them answered immediately.
But that's the thing. The segment we're talking about doing tonight isn't necessarily our classic question thing that we've done in the past.
It's the closest jingle I got right now. So go with it. So what's on your head this evening?
Exactly. The segment we were talking about doing tonight is called "What's Connor Thinking About?"
All right. So what's Connor thinking about?
Exactly. So let's see.
No, I'm asking. What's Connor thinking about?
Mainly anime at this point.
Okay. Well, I get to be quiet for a while.
I've been watching a lot of anime, and in my opinion, it's one of the most unique forms of entertainment because even though it's full of tropes that can somehow connect all these other animes, you know, you have the isekai trope, the overpowered protagonist trope, the best friend betraying the protagonist trope, you know. And it's just no matter what anime you watch, it is still vastly different from the other one. You know, no two anime are exactly alike, and I find that to be amazing because, Dad, you know me. You know all the things I've watched over the years, right? I've watched movies, I've watched cartoons, I've watched sitcoms, dramas. I've watched almost every kind of genre under the sun. I can tell you emphatically, I have never watched any other form of media that is still as diverse as anime. You know, because as you know, anime is based on manga most of the time. That was published in Japan, and there's no shortage of manga over there, and because of this, there are a lot of anime that are basically just 12 to 14 episodes, and then that's the entire series. You know.
Well, I mean,
that's somehow something that's like half of what a regular season is to us can still gain millions and millions of fans across the world.
No, I get that. I get that.
And I think it's a very impressive thing.
Well, and I think and I'm not an anime expert at all. You know that, but
you could be. You just don't give it a shot.
I don't want to be. I have enough things that I watch. I don't need to add in a whole other genre. So, but the thing about anime is, you know, with animation, you can suspend all reality. You can, right? I mean, yeah, I guess you can in any kind of movies. I mean, with the Marvel movies and that kind of stuff, you can. But it's kind of hard to pull off some of like the really outlandish stuff that they do in anime in CGI real actor stuff, right? And so I think
tried.
Yeah, they have
failed.
Right, that's what I mean. So I think anime can go much more extreme with its storylines and imagery and stuff. I've just never been a huge fan of it. I've never been a huge fan of the Japanese style of humor,
animation,
like the anime humor. And well, look, I mean, I used to watch Speed Racer when I was a kid. That's anime. I mean, no, it's an Americanized kind of anime, but it's still the same kind of style of animation.
Here comes Speed Racer. He's a demon on wheels. Turn, turn, turn.
So anyway. I didn't even know you knew this song.
I did.
So anyway, so I can see.
Want to know the only reason why I know it? Want to know the only reason why I know it?
Why?
Is because of Ted and Scrubs. Because him and his little acapella group at one point saying all these classic animated cartoon things in an episode. They did a Speed Racer, Underdog, just like all kinds of stuff. He's the only reason why I know it.
Doesn't surprise me at all. So anyway, I mean, I get that, but I guess where else were you going with this whole anime thing that was in your head?
Well, let's see. In my opinion, anime is some of the only media that I know that that two people can that like. Okay, so one anime can have two sets of fans. One set that watches it in the dubbed version, in which the original vocals are dubbed over with other translations and native speakers, English, Spanish, what have you.
Right.
And then we have the subbed fans, the fans that prefer to watch the anime in the original Japanese audio, but then have the dialogue subtitled at the bottom, and you basically read as you watch.
Right. Well,
and a lot of fans are very split off in their beliefs. They're either dubbed or they're subbed. In my opinion, it is based on the voice actors. The voice actor defines which version I watch. For example, there is a classic anime that I absolutely love called Naruto. I'm sure you've heard me talk about it before, right?
Naruto? Of course. I know what that is. Yes.
So Naruto is an anime that I can only watch in subbed because I first tried watching it in dubbed and then I took a break and started experimenting with other shows, and then I realized the person that voice acts for Naruto, the main character, is a 40-something-year-old, well, not 50-something-year-old, I think, short, rotund, glassed woman.
Interesting.
Yes. And actually, Dad, out of curiosity.
Yeah.
Over the years, do you remember ever seeing me watch a show called Lab Rats?
No. Maybe. Yes. I think so.
She plays one on one of the core side characters in that show, which is this vile, evil kind of just nasty principal of the school, of the Lab Rats and their stepbrother go-to.
Right.
And it's just, ever since I started seeing that and I made the connection between her and dubbed Naruto, I literally could not see dubbed Naruto as anything else other than this short, rotund woman trying to run around in that freaking skinny ass ninja run they do in the anime, and I could not take it seriously.
Okay.
Then on the opposite side, there are a few animes I can only ever watch in dubbed because the dubbed voice actors I know do such a great job at bringing life to the character.
Right.
For me, a good example of this is Full Metal Alchemist, both original and Brotherhood. Yet, and the voice actor Vic Mignaroa playing Edward Elric. When you hear the emotion this guy puts into Ed's voice, you just can't help but respect the energy he put into that role. And then if you go to the subbed, it's kind of the same, but the voice doesn't really match what you picture the character would sound like.
Gotcha.
And there's actually another instance of that kind of phenomena. So I'm sure you've heard of the anime Dragon Ball, correct?
Sure.
Yep. Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, and all their iterations.
Sure.
And I'm sure you've heard of the main character Goku, correct?
Yep.
So you know how he looks. He is big. He is buff. He has got the big hair. He looks tough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. in the subbed version, he sounds like Mitch.
Okay.
So just picture a dude who's quite literally strong enough to literally crack the earth in half with one well-timed squat thrust, and his voice is as high pitched and as awkward sounding as Mitch is.
Okay, so for those playing at home, Mitch is Connor's younger brother, my youngest son. So that's who he's referring to when he says Mitch. So for those, like I said, for those playing at home that have no idea who Mitch is, that's who that is.
I'm sorry, you're right. And it's just sometimes the voice doesn't match how the character is supposed to look, but then if you go into the dubbed version, it fits perfectly. You know, if you've heard dubbed Goku, he sounds deep, he sounds macho, he sounds like he knows what he's doing in that role, you know.
Speaking of Mitch, our other buddy Mitch is here. Team Connor. So there you go.
See, thank you, Mitch. Thank you for agreeing with me.
So anyway,
oh man.
So let me ask you this. Go ahead.
What's up?
I was gonna ask you this. So, which is your favorite anime that I would know something about? That I would know it. Not. I mean, I know you've got some favorites that I have no clue what they are or who they are. But the ones that I would know, which one's your favorite and why?
The only one that I feel like you would know, that would be Naruto. Naruto was quite literally one of the first 5 anime I started watching. I started a couple others, but I always thought they were like cartoons.
Yeah.
But Naruto was the first one I got into, knowing it was an anime, and I started watching as an anime. You know.
So what about Neon Genesis Evangelion that Mitch mentioned? What about that one? I don't know. I mean, I've heard of that one, but I don't know anything about that one at all.
That is a classic anime. It's a little bit before my generation. I haven't gotten into watching it yet. It is on my list.
Yeah.
I just have this. I just have this kind of. It's this mental tweak where I can't enjoy an anime if the animation is too low grade.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I can't enjoy the original Dragon Ball when it started airing in like the late 80s, early 90s because it runs as smooth and as a Sega Genesis game.
Okay.
You know,
right.
Hey, I am in a younger generation than you, Mitch. I'm sorry. Okay, it is on my list to watch because I know it has such a cult following. I want to try it. It's just I want to catch up on all my other stuff first. You know.
See,
I'm not a blasphemer.
I would like to get you involved in some of the older Japanese shows like Ultraman. Not anime, but like the whole kaiju, kind of walking through and that kind of stuff. You know, the Power Rangers were just like regular sized people. I'm talking about like Godzilla versus Ultraman, those kind of things. That's I'd like to get you watching some of those because I used to watch those a lot when I was a kid. You know, Godzilla versus Mothra and all that kind of stuff. So that's the Japanese stuff that I was familiar with. There was that other one, guys, a TV show. Maybe Mitch can help me remember the name because I'm terrible at remembering names. But it was like a robot family, a father and a wife and their son. And it's like, I want to say it was like Goldar and Silvar, and their kid's name was Tam, or I know kaiju is your jam, Mitch. I know. You're all about the King Kong movie. I know. But and I love those. But man, I used to spend hours watching Ultraman after school when I was a kid on TBS. But anyway, so I'm trying to remember the name of that show, and I can't remember. But I used to watch the heck out of it, and they were robots. The mother and the son looked like human beings with little antenna, but the dad was like a gold robot, but then they could turn into rockets and fly away. God, I wish I could remember the name of that show. I used to watch the heck out of it. But anyway, so that's the Japanese stuff that I knew. I mean, yeah, I watched some, Speed Racer and stuff, but I mean, it's not really like. I mean, that's kind of like almost that's like Americanized anime almost. So, yeah. But anyway,
so thinking back to what I've said, between dubbed and subbed anime, there are some anime I choose to watch in dubbed, specifically for the kind of dialogue it is.
Yeah.
So as you know, Dad, anime is ridiculous, correct?
100%.
Yes. So
you got giant naked babies walking around, and giant sperm flying around. I remember some movie that we watched.
But yes, so yeah. So now picture her. So picture a line of dialogue as ridiculous as what you see. Somehow having to be sounded serious, but still saying all these ridiculous things.
Space Giants. That was the show. Space Giants with the robot family that turned into rockets. Yeah.
A great example of this phenomena is an anime called High School DD. And it is an anime you would not approve of whatsoever.
I'm sure I wouldn't, because I can imagine because you said
dialogue that is said.
Because I'm guessing that DD stands for double D and not DND. So yeah,
it's the XD if that helps.
So anyway,
but it's just it's just the comedy. It's just to me. Whenever I hear a line of dialogue that is absolutely ridiculous, all I can do is picture her, the actor, in the voice booth reading this line, looking at the director and at the producer, and they're like, "Seriously, this is what he says," and they're like, "Yep." And remember, you're in the middle of a great big fight, so it's got to sound passionate. It's got to sound powerful. So then this dude. And in the mentality of war, and in the midst of a big battle, he has to somehow say, "I am in love with giant titties," and he has to actually make it sound serious.
Okay, well,
and that's what gets me. It's just how can you make a line that ridiculous sound serious in context, and yet they pull it off.
Well,
It's like a whole anime of bloopers.
Getting back on track to talking about the anime stuff other than that one, you talked about subbed versus dubbed, and whenever I've watched anime with you, whenever you've asked me to watch anime with you, or we do it for the show or anything like that, if we roll an anime movie, I prefer the dubbed because I have a hard time, because anime is something that's kind of new to me, right? Sorry, anime is something that I'm laughing at the chat going on. Anime is something that I'm not as familiar with, and so I need to really kind of watch it. And so it's hard for me to watch it and watch the subs at the same time. So whereas some movies I can watch the subs while I'm watching the movie, with anime I have to do it. Like, you remember that movie that we watched, the Bollywood movie that we watched? I mean, I watched it I think 3 times. Because I had to watch it, the first time I watched it with the subs, just to kind of understand the dialogue, to know what was going on, understand the plot.
Yeah.
And then I had to go back and watch it, and because they didn't have a dubbed version, it was just sub. So then I had to watch it again, so I could just watch the movie, and not really have to follow the lines because I kind of knew the storyline. So when there's way too much going on, I've got to have dubbed so I can just listen to that, so I can pay attention to what's on the screen. So, but that. I mean, at some point we'll land on an anime movie that we got to watch, and we'll do one. It's just the problem with the streaming services is there's not unless you like, I guess, Crunchyroll, which I don't have. Unless you're on something like that, a lot of the other services just don't have a lot of anime in them. So when there's not a lot of choices for us to roll for.
To my understanding, the only streaming service that actually has like anime movies that are single off movies and not part of some kind of fandom is HBO Max / Max because
Right.
because they have access to the entire Studio Ghibli library.
Right. Well, okay. So anyway, so yeah, okay. So that's what was on Connor's mind tonight. What was Connor thinking tonight? So, is there anything else Connor was thinking tonight that we need to talk about, or do we want to talk about our movie?
I'm thinking about the one shot I'm gonna be running tomorrow.
Oh, okay, so you're running a one shot with your folks at the comic shop, or the online show?
Well, actually, my online group and the shop group are the same group.
Gotcha. Okay.
On the weekends when Nix is not working, I can take the car over to the shop and play at the shop.
Yeah.
And then when Nix is working, I set up here and play online using my webcam and everything to get a top down look of the game board.
Sure. Gotcha. Okay. All right. But tomorrow, are you doing online or at the comic shop?
I'm doing it at the comic shop and because we are low on players because it's kind of like a holiday weekend.
Yeah.
I recruited some fill-in players and we're just gonna play a small one shot I wrote tomorrow.
Okay. Speaking of comic shops, hey Mitch, you need to hear this too. I need to go back there and take pictures. Last weekend before, went to get some. Mitch needed some. My Mitch, or your brother Mitch, needed to get some jeans, and he only likes Old Navy jeans, and being on the spectrum, he's very specific, and so the closest Old Navy is
Kmart. Kmart.
The closest Old Navy is at a mall in Lancaster, about an hour drive north. So we drove up there and went, and malls today they're largely dying. So there was a lot of stores that were empty. But they had a comic shop there, and look, I mean, I've been in comic shops before. Now, the shop that you go to is in pretty good shape. It's pretty new and this kind of stuff. But the one that you used to go to in Noonan, it's like all the comics were
kind of run down.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't the one in Cincinnati. This was in Lancaster. I've heard of one in Cincinnati, Mitch. But I went when we didn't go into there into this comic shop in Lancaster, but we walked by it in the mall. It could have doubled for like a cigar bar. I mean, it had like dark mahogany cases and shelves. I mean, it was bougie. Everything was behind glass cases. All the comics were all laid out. They weren't in like the Noonan shop that you used to go to. They're all basically just in cardboard boxes kind of thing. Man, it would not have surprised me if there was a section where folks were sitting around smoking cigars. It was that sweet looking. And I'm like, that's how you do a comic shop right there. So it was pretty cool. So next time we're up there, I'm going to actually go in and spend some time there.
A secret speakeasy kind of location?
Almost, if a secret speakeasy you could walk into in a mall in Ohio. but yeah, so it was cool. So next time I go, I'll have to get some pictures and upload it for you guys. It was really neat. So anyway, that was just an aside, something I thought about that was pretty cool.
Dad.
So, yes.
Actually, I have a question for you.
And I'll have an answer.
What are you doing tomorrow?
A lot of stuff. I got to cut my grass. I got to go to a wedding. Mitch wants to see Indiana Jones, which is something else I was going to talk about. So my day is pretty much booked because I got a wedding at my church that I'm going to. And that's in the middle of the day, and it's supposed to rain, so I got to cut grass.
You've barely been here a year. Whose wedding are you going to?
Dude, this is our new pastor's daughter, and one of the guys in our church, his dad sings on the praise team. This guy plays the guitar and or drums on the praise team. Young couple, and our new pastor started last fall, and within 3 months they were engaged. I mean, it happened fast. So anyway, just a young couple at our church that the pastor's daughter and somebody that's really involved in the church. So, I've sang with Nick in choir since I've been there. Cool. So, usually I just listen to him to get all the notes because he's He's better than I am. So anyway, so we got this wedding
got the
tomorrow,
hookup.
and
Cool.
and so we've got to either figure out a time to go see Indiana Jones before the wedding or after the wedding. So because that's Mitch has decided he wants to see it. So when Mitch decides he wants to see a movie, guess what we're going to do? We're going to go see that movie. So there you go.
All right. I was gonna extend an invitation for you to come in and play in the one shot, but
I'd appreciate it. Yeah, I'd appreciate it, but that's just a lot of trying to moving parts tomorrow. There's no way I could fit it in. So anyway, probably goes for you too, Mitch. Right? All Mitches are like that. When Mitch wants to see a movie, you go see the movie. So anyway, so you want to talk about this? Are you kind of ready to talk about this movie?
Sure, why not?
I'm kind of ready to talk about this movie. So
it was a very interesting movie.
So it's time for the next installment of
Roll for Credits.
Come on, buddy, get on the board here, man.
I was reading everybody who's been watching.
So this movie is one of those. It's one of those where we lucked out, a lot because we rolled the dice. Literally, we rolled the dice to pick our movies, and we hit some dogs a lot of times. And sometimes we hit ones that were like, really, and they turned out really good. And for me, at least, this was one of them. It's a movie from 2020 called Rams, and it stars. Let me pull up the information I got here. It stars Sam Neill. He plays basically the lead character. His brother Les is played by a guy named Michael Caton. I'm not really familiar with him. Didn't really recognize other people in the movie except for Miranda. Richardson's in it. She plays the veterinarian in the movie, and she kind of, I don't know, because I've watched all the Harry Potter movies, but you're a Harry Potter fan. So who is? Let me find it here. Rita Skeeter. Who is she in the Harry Potter movies?
Oh my God, that's who she played.
So she was Rita Skeeter.
Okay. So Rita Skeeter is a character that was just in the fourth book, The Goblet of Fire.
Okay.
Wait. Yeah. Goblet of Fire. Wait, Yep. Yeah, I was double checking my Harry Potter books that they're just right across from my eyes. So essentially, Rita Skeeter was this she was a wizard tabloid writer. So, and she was kind of like a buxom Jessica Rabbit kind of looking,
Mm-hmm.
Except wearing a green dress instead of red dress. What are you looking at? Yes, I know. And she dressed and kind of moved like freaking Jessica Rabbit. Anyway, she was the kind of person that would do anything to get the story. And at one point she got so annoying, Hermione Granger, one of Harry's closest friends.
Yeah, I know Hermione.
Turned her into a beetle and trapped her in a jar as a way to get even with her for making a fake article saying that Hermione and Harry were quote unquote together.
Okay. Anyway, so she's in it.
She was a nuisance.
And so
Hermione.
So with this movie, let me go back here. So the movie is set in Australia. And I'm trying to pull my stuff up here, and it won't come back. So, and let me just read you the little tagline. It says, a decades-long feud between two sheep farming brothers comes to a head when disaster strikes their flocks. And so this movie is about two brothers and sheep. That's really what it's about. And, it fell in the comedy category, and there were some funny things that happened in the movie, but I definitely didn't see it as a comedy. I saw it more as a kind of like a touching tale of these brothers, and there's a lot of backstory that was implied about their relationship that you had to pick up on, and how that relationship kind of got healed. They did some kind of nefarious stuff to save their sheep. So it was literally about sheep farmers and sheep, an entire movie, and literally it was a 2-hour movie. It wasn't like some short 1.5 hour movie.
Breaking Bad, but with sheep.
No, it was not Breaking Bad with sheep because because Breaking Bad involved lots of illegal stuff and killing people. This one didn't involve anything about killing. Some kind of illegal stuff, but nothing like in Breaking Bad. So they had to. Nobody was
11, but with sheep.
But nobody was done. No, not really. I have to think about something, an analogy to it. But anyway, so the movie kind of starts out with Oh, and by the way, I mean Sam Neill, obviously the Jurassic Park movies and that kind of stuff. Yeah, and that was when I was looking on IMDb, Mitch. That was one of the movies that came up. That The Hunt for the Wilder People, or the Wild People. So anyway, so it's really cool. I mean, you got the Australian, the kind of the outback, the pasture land part of. Was it Western Australia that they were in, or Eastern?
They were near Perth. I know that.
Yeah. So here's the basics.
Hey Dexter, you in here? Where's Perth?
So basically the story is there's these two brothers. They have this sheep farm. They have a fence running down the middle, and they haven't spoken in 40 years, even though their houses are a stone's throw from each other. They haven't spoken in 40 years. Literally, they have
not only their houses, but their sheds and shacks that kind of tend to their respective flocks from are literally side by side, connected via a door.
Right. So they literally just had basically divided the farm in half, including the barn. I mean, so much so that there was an Australian sheepdog, a border collie, and Sam's character Colin had a name Kip. Called him Kip, but his brother called it Flossie. So they even had different names for the same damn dog. And the dogs just kind of ran back and forth between the farms. And they would communicate by writing notes and stick it in the collar of the dog and sending it to each other. That's how bad it was about how they refused to talk to each other. So, but they had these sheep. They had
England has carrier pigeons.
Right.
We have carrier dogs.
And the story is that it was their father's sheep farm and sheep herd, and they had been breeding sheep for years and kind of had their own kind of unique breed of sheep that were very well respected. It started with they had
Kangar horn.
Yeah, Kangar horn. They had like a ram, judging competition, and Les, the cranky older brother, came in first. Colin came in second, but they were both, really, they were well respected for their sheep and for their rams.
No, Dad, I don't think you understand the significance of Les winning.
Okay, tell me. I'd love to hear this.
Later in the movie, do you remember in Colin's house, we see that mounted ram's head on the wall? Remember that?
Yeah.
All of those sashes that are on it.
Yeah.
Those are all of his past wins.
Mm-hmm.
This was the first time Les has won in like close to a decade.
And that's that. And see, I didn't pick up on that. See, there's a bunch of little layers in the background of this movie that's really cool. So that happens, but when Les's ram wins, Colin goes to kind of just check it out to say, hey, what, because the vet, Miranda Richardson character, her name is Kat. She
Hey, Big Jim.
What's up, Big Jim? So she she said that Les's ram had really strong hindquarters, and so Colin went to go check it out, and then he stepped back away from it, started wiping his hands off with this shocked look on his face, and told the vet, says, I think his ram has OJD, which is some kind of sheep disease. Connor actually researched it, so I'm going to let Connor talk about what OJD is. So go ahead.
OJD is also known as ovine Johan's disease, and essentially what happens to sheep when they have it is their intestines and stomachs lose the ability to retain and filter out the nutrients from what they eat. Not only that, their intestines begin to slowly grow inflamed, slowly swell until they have such trouble time passing stuff through their intestines. They just begin continuing to eat and swelling inside their bodies and becoming extremely bloated until the internal pressure essentially crushes their other organs and makes them unable to function. And this disease is heavily contagious to other sheep. It's kind of harmless to humans, but to sheep people, it's as serious as mad cow disease. Because if one sheep gets it, there's a good chance a bunch of other sheep can get it, and just like with mad cow disease, the only way to test for it is to kill the animal.
Right. Well, and basically what they were saying in the movie was basically this disease, because they can't absorb the nutrients and this kind of stuff, that the sheep basically starve to death. And because they're so contagious, that then of course animal
the entire
control
community.
Right.
The entire community had to have their sheep culled.
That entire area. Not just
hundreds of sheep.
Not just Colin and Les's sheep, but all the sheep in the area. They had to wipe them out. So they literally wiped everybody's sheep herds out completely. And then they had to completely sanitize their barns or tear them down or whatever. I mean, it's a big deal. And,
they were compensated.
Of course, they were compensated, and they could either take the compensation and try to survive until they couldn't have sheep for 2 years. They had to wipe out all the sheep, and they couldn't buy new sheep and start raising sheep again for 2 years to make sure this stuff was wiped out. And so everybody, I mean, that happened, and they came in and were wiping. And of course, Les is an old cranky drunk dude. Just a nasty, mean dude. He's got that reputation that there's nobody likes him. He's just, and so they come in and they're trying to get his sheep, and he's refusing, but they have to fight him off. And finally, they're getting his sheep. Colin, it was just so heartbreaking.
It was devastating.
He goes in, and he used to always talk to his sheep. He's like, "You're beautiful. You're beautiful. You're a mess." He kind of had this thing that he talked to all his sheep about, kind of thing.
He was connected to his animals,
and he brought them into the barn. He brought them all in, had them all corralled in, and he talked to all of them, and then he shot them all. He killed them instead of letting the other people kill them, because it was like, they're my babies. I'm gonna take care of it, and so
they will rest on my land.
Yeah, that's
what he said.
Yeah, they're going to rest. They're going to die, and they're going to rest on my land. They're not going to take him away. And so he sat there with basically his babies, and shot in the head 50, 60 head of sheep. It was devastating. I mean, I'm sitting there, my heart's just going. Just the pain that Sam Neill's character showed was just so good.
The reason why this was so significant is because he was not allowed to do that. The Department of Agriculture is responsible for those sheep. We're essentially responsible for those sheep and get them taken off the land. And because Colin took it on himself to call them themselves, it was a big no-no. And it was a big risk he took, because if they wanted to, they could have said, sorry, they're your problem now. Now you did this without our authorization, so you don't get compensated.
Yeah.
But thankfully he still was.
Yeah, the Cat kind of came in,
or
and
was
kind of.
He?
Yeah, he was. Well, Cat kind of came in and kind of fought for him, and so they were fine. And so they dug a huge pit, put them in the pit and set them on fire and burn them and covered up the pit. So that's that. And then it cuts to months later, right? And
middle of summer.
And everybody's trying to figure out what they're going to do. Some people are choosing to sell and move to Perth and raise some merino sheep in a different area of the country, kind of thing. And it shows Colin in his house, and he's and then he opens up this thing, and he's got this like greenhouse kind of thing, and he's growing this stuff in there. And I'm like, and my first thought was, so he's going to pass the time for the next 2 years growing some weed and selling weed. So it is going to be like Breaking Bad. That's what I was thinking. but then he pulls out this thing of this green stuff, and then he walks. And then
grass.
I know. But at the time, it wasn't really sure what it was. And then he walks into his bathroom, and there's 3 sheep. He kept his 3 favorite sheep.
3 ewes.
Right.
To be exact.
I know. And it kept his 3 and gave him grass. And there was hay in the bathroom, and he had replaced the floor with a metal grate. And so at night he would he would sweep out the bathroom with all their stuff and all the stuff, all the hay and stuff under his house, and then dig that out and then go dump it somewhere on his property in the middle of the night. But in the other room was his prize ram that he kept, and he had taken off, and the ram walks into the bathroom, starts drinking out of the toilet, and then he pulls the wall off in his bathroom. He had created a fake wall, and the ewes were in the old bedroom, stuck their heads through, and were drinking water out of the tub. So he was raising sheep in his house because he's like, they tested negative, they don't have it, they're isolated, I'm keeping them, I can't get rid of all my sheep. And so he's raising 3 ewes and a ram in his house for who knows how long. His plan is to do it for 2 years until they can start raising sheep again. And then that's kind of the premise of the movie, is him kind of raising these and keeping it secret from everybody. He'll take them out in the middle of the night. He'll with his dog, and they'll go out in the middle of the night, and he'll take them out to let them graze
and get some exercise. And
then bring him back and put him back in his house before daylight. And that's what he's doing, keeping it secret from everybody. And so kind of where does it go from there, Connor? I'll let you kind of talk. Where does it kind of go from there?
Essentially, his brother is Les begins to kind of spiral a bit. He's at this point in the movie, he's kind of already shot up his brother's house a couple times.
Drunkenly walking over.
I shot you both.
He's so angry at Colin, he comes over and he shoots his window out, and then he's so mad because Colin won't let him in the house. He shoots his boot on the front porch, and that's what he says, I shot your boot. So yeah. And here's something else. When they're in town, all the sheep herders are in town. It's like Christmas. They're kind of sitting around in the local diner or whatever. And at some point, somewhere in the movie, they're talking about Les, and I think Colin's talking to Kat, the vet, and he's like, Les has had a hard life. Les has had some hard stuff, and you never know. You never are told what that is. But later on in the movie, when Colin goes into Les's house, he sees a picture of Les from back in the day, and he's wearing a military uniform. So I'm wondering if there's like a history of some PTSD or something like that going on. He's got some issues going on from that kind of stuff. And also the dynamic between Colin and Les. Colin is the younger brother. Turns out
was Australia involved in any kind of major war in the past couple decades?
Oh yeah, they were involved in World War II. They've been in I don't know what, and they were.
I don't feel like they're old enough to have been involved in World War II. They.
What are you talking about?
They're not 40s. It's now the 2020s. They would need to be at least 98.
Yeah. I'm not.
In order to have been involved in World War II.
I thought you were talking about the country Australia. So yes, I get that Les and Colin were not old enough. Of course, we don't know exactly what year this was set, although it looks present day. But
Yeah,
I mean, it could have
mean,
been Vietnam. It could have been it could have been
was Australia involved in Vietnam?
I don't know. I mean, maybe probably at a smaller level. I know Australia was involved in like the Gulf War, and the war on terrorism at a smaller level, and I know that because I know that. I'll just leave it at that.
Not to sound offensive. It's just I don't know a lot of things that Australia was involved in. You know,
right. So and that's just
the only thing I could think of is the Emu War, and they lost that.
Yeah, that's just something that I picked up on, and that may be just me reading through it because guess what I do? I work with PTSD with military, so I was probably primed to see that. But that was the implication that there's something going on there with him that led him to alcoholism and those kind of things. And
I think it was just years and years of built up resentment to his brother because even though Les was the older brother, their dad when they died left the farm entirely to Colin and Les has always seen Colin as a weak person,
and here's the thing, the implication was that Les didn't really know that Dad had left the entire farm to Colin until Colin informed him of it at the end, where the animal folks were like, "You got to get Les on board, or you're going to lose the whole farm."
No, so he's always known it. I think that's where the entire farm was basically split in half, and they just didn't talk.
Very well could be. But you're right. There was definitely a power dynamic because even when Les came over to the house drunkenly, shot out Colin's window and shot his boot on the front porch and this kind of stuff and was threatening him. What did Colin do? Colin ran and crawled in the tub with his dog and cowered in the tub. So there's definitely a power differential. There was definitely some fear of Les in Colin. There was definitely some. Colin is a little bit more skittish and humble and timid compared to Les. And so Les may have picked up on that. Les may have been a little bit of a bully over the years, as the bigger brother. So there's just this huge power dynamic between the two of them. And so that stuff's kind of going on. And then now what remind me, because I'm trying to remember the timeline, what happened next? The fire or Cat discovering the sheep?
The fire happened first, and then and then Cat discovered them basically the day after it.
Yeah, so there's huge, and you were starting to hear it on the TV in the background and stuff. There's huge brush fires and stuff. There was like destroying huge swaths of Australia, and it was threatening their town and threatening their pasture lands and stuff. And so they were kind of fighting that stuff, and then Kat came by to see Colin because she kind of had a thing for Colin, and there was that underlying tension between the two of them through the whole movie too. She came by, and as they're talking, they have some kind of conflict, and then they resolve it there. One of those like romantic comedy kind of things. And then as they're walking towards his house, she brought some beer. She looks down and sees some sheep on the road on his driveway. And she picks it up, being a vet, and rubs it and smells it. And she goes, "You kept some sheep," and throws the shit at him. and so she has no choice but to call animal control, call the Department of Agriculture. Well, Les had already figured out and already discovered that Colin had the sheep, and so at that point. Then they start doing some other things. They start working together. So what happens then, Connor?
So at that point, Colin as an olive branch brings his sheep over to Les. Basically asks him to hide them in the house because his house is getting investigated. Colin's house is. So then Les and Colin basically work together to try and hide all of the evidence in the house, covering up the metal grates with rugs, patching and fastening the fake walls. Freaking as Les comes in the house, Colin pops up out of a trapdoor like a freaking gopher and just climbs up out of it. And then after they do all that, Colin basically takes 2 cans of Febreze or some kind of Australian equivalent. He just unloads them throughout the entire house and himself.
So they kind of implicitly start to patch things up to save their sheep, because these are the last 4 sheep of their father's breeding and of their legacy. There's nothing left, and so they kind of finally patch things. Yeah.
I don't think we explicitly said the significance of these sheep and their their lineage.
Well, go ahead, because I know that there was something significant, but I don't remember specifically what that was.
Even in the beginning of the movie, during the judging contest, at that point, everybody in the region is breeding Kangar horn sheep. And Colin and Les's family, the Grimerson family, started that bloodline close to 200 years in the past. And since then, only this region of Australia, only this microclimate, could appropriately house, breed, and raise these sheep. So essentially, the Grimerson clan. Colin and Les's family were the ones that helped build this town and helped give them their sheep.
Right. So, to not give every plot detail of everything that happens in the movie, the rest of the movie is basically they work together to try to save these sheep and keep them from the bad guys, which are, the animal controller, the Department of Agriculture or whatever.
Dude gets smacked in the face with a shovel.
There's some
he just comes around the corner and then get whopped in the face with a flathead shovel.
There's some conflict there. There's some danger. There's some rescue. But in the end, things kind of work out. There's a part where you go, did somebody die? Did somebody not make it? But then it moves forward, and so there's kind of a satisfying resolution to the movie. So I don't want to we've spoiled enough of the plot. I don't want to spoil the end, how they resolve the whole thing. But suffice it to say, we've just spent a half an hour talking about a movie about sheep. Okay, that should tell you something about how enjoyable it was how surprisingly enjoyable it was to watch. I would watch it again. I would, when your mom comes home, your mom's been in Oklahoma for most of the summer visiting her mom, and when she comes back, it would be a movie that I'd say, hey, we should watch this movie. She may not like it, but it's a movie that I'd be willing to watch again.
I wouldn't be willing to watch it, but I enjoyed watching it.
Yeah, it was. I wouldn't watch it again by myself, but if somebody else wanted to watch it, I would watch it with them. Absolutely. It was a pleasant surprise. It wasn't something I was expecting. Now, when I saw Sam Neill was in it, I was kind of thinking it would be okay. But you know what? Last week, we watched a movie with Thomas Jane and Emil Hirsch, and I thought, well, they're in it, so it's probably going to be pretty good. Nope. So good actors don't necessarily save a movie, but this movie didn't need saving. It was just good. And I think, and I've seen other movies. I need to focus, I need to watch that movie that Mitch was talking about with Sam Neill out of Australia. I need to watch more Australian movies.
People?
Yeah, I need to watch some more Australian movies, because the movies I've seen out of Australia seem to kind of have that nice, quaint story to it with subtle Australian humor and that kind of stuff. And I kind of like that. I need to see if I can, start watching some more movies out of Australia. Because the ones I've seen, I've liked. So,
from what I've understood, there are very little bad Australian movies and very little bad Korean movies.
Well, you and I have not seen a bad Korean movie yet. Of the movies that we've watched that have come out of Korea for the show, we have not seen a bad one yet. Whether it was
Sweepers, Train to Busan, that's that reincarnation one of I forget what it was called with
monsters, gods and monsters. No, it wasn't that, but it's something like
Monster Run.
Monster Run. Yeah, I mean the movies we've seen out of Korea have been pretty cool. We've really enjoyed them. Even Space Sweepers, which was kind of weird, with a robot that wanted to be a girl. I mean, like a human girl, and was looking through magazines to try to find skin matches for. Yeah, it was just kind of weird, but it was interesting. It was a fun movie. So yeah, and that does not surprise me that most of your recommendations would be horror. But yeah, I've just
you and my husband Nick would get along great, Mitch.
So I just I need to watch more stuff out of Korea and more stuff out of Australia. So I'm gonna check in on that and look into some of that stuff. So I would recommend checking it out. It is a 2-hour movie, so it is a chunk of time. It's not like a quick little 1.5 hour movie. But
I would say more hour 40, hour 45, just based on just based on if you take away the scene filler shots, the production stuff, and then the ending credits.
Why? Well, I'm not talking about the ending credits, but I wouldn't take out. I absolutely love watching Australian movies to watch the production shots and watch the scenery. I absolutely love that. I would love watching a movie in 4K of nothing but Australian scenery, you know? So anyway, it was a surprisingly good movie. To me, it ranks up there with like Radius, or Vast.
You like Radius, I didn't.
Or Vast of Night. You know, these surprisingly smaller movies that you weren't expecting much out of that turned out really good. Definitely worth checking out. If you want just like a pleasant movie to watch, it's not heavy. There's some sad parts in it. There's some touching parts in it. I think there's more sad and touching parts in it than there are comedic parts. And the comedy is more kind of your subtle Australian, kind of Australian outback kind of humor.
Oh, hold on.
Oh God, what?
What about Australia do you know that's subtle?
Well, listen, like for example, like
half of their animals can kill you just by looking at you.
I didn't say their flora and fauna. I said their comedy.
Half of their people.
I said their
get
comedy.
drunk for the hell of it.
I said,
and ride on freaking four wheels throughout the desert.
There was another one. There was another movie that I think that we watched. I can't remember the name of it, but it had the guy from IT Crowd in it, where he was like the manager for these Aboriginal singing group girls during the Vietnam War. Remember?
Oh yeah, that movie. I love
that was based. Yeah, that was another good one. The Gems or something like that. The Fantastic Gems or something like that.
Yeah,
something like that. Anyway, so that was another good one. But no, I think like Crocodile Dundee Hunter is. Them? I think so in real life because it was based on a true story. I think so. But like Crocodile Dundee, his humor in those movies is kind of subtle. I mean, yes, there's some outlandish stuff, but his actual humor is pretty subtle. So anyway,
the humor in Crocodile Dundee comes from the vast differences in culture.
Yeah. Anyway,
for example, the guy that pulls out a switchblade on Dundee, he's not phased because to him that's nothing, and then he pulls out something that's basically a full-on dagger, and then everybody else is just like freaking out, That's the comedy of it.
Right.
Oh, Dad.
I know. Something happened.
What'd you do?
Something happened. There you go.
What?
Why'd
you mess with things?
Sorry, I had to go to the character builder page for what we're going to do next. So, and it was on the same browser. So I fixed it. You're fine.
Excuse me. Sorry about that.
Nothing like manners.
I've had 2 cans of soda.
So anyway, it's a great movie. I would check it out.
Better than I always say.
And definitely better than the movie we watched last week with poor Travis. It seems like when we have a guest on to watch a movie, it's always a really, really bad one. It's like when Dennis was on with us. We watched The Alchemist Cookbook.
That movie was straight up bizarre.
I was watching earlier this week. The Botch Crew, they do a movie party. They do a movie watch thing on Amazon on, I think, Monday nights. And so I was sitting in with them this week, and they were doing League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and we were sitting around talking.
That's a good movie.
And I told him, I said, Dennis, because Phil hated the movie, hated League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, he hated the movie and this kind of stuff. I'm like, Dennis, you should have him watch the movie that we watched. If he wants to see a bad movie, and Dennis like, I will never make anybody watch that movie ever again because that means I'll have to watch it again. Not on your life. So anyway, we always seem to have really bad movies when we have a guest on, but this one was pretty good. So what we're going to be doing next month, and we're going to kind of do it for a whole month, is Connor has always wanted to run like a one-man campaign D&D with me because he loves being a dungeon master. He loves being the game master in the games, and I love playing, but I don't never get a chance to play anymore, and I never get a chance to be in any of his campaigns. And he hold on, and he writes his own, and I'm telling him his career should be as a game writer for Wizards of the Coast or something like that, because if you guys would hear some of his campaigns that he's written, they're more detailed than some of the ones out there that you can buy. They're great. So he's always wanted to run like a one-man campaign for me. So we're going to do
That's
that
not entirely true.
Okay.
See, I've always just wanted to run a campaign with you. There could have been other people in the group, but I just want you in a campaign because I want revenge for the crap you pulled on me when you were the DM and I was a kid. You deprived Ronick Wilsbane of his talking wolf companion. You also made a room that was only accessible via a nat 20,
which you rolled.
Yes, I rolled a nat 20, and it was empty.
Because I had
wasted nat 20.
Because I hadn't written that part yet. I didn't expect. And you first of all, you rolled a nat 20 to find the door.
Yes.
Then you rolled a nat 20 to open the door. Roll double nat 20s, which that is virtually impossible to do, but you did it. So I'm sorry.
You could have made up something.
And
a single creative bone in your body.
And the wolf, dude, that's not my fault. I put the wolf out of his misery because of the 2-hour argument between you and your mom's characters about that stinking wolf. So nope, yes, I'm not taking responsibility for that.
I wanted to keep it as a companion, and Mom wouldn't let me because she saw it as an abomination.
So anyway,
I want revenge.
So we're gonna do this, and so Connor. So for the next month, we're still gonna do our movies every week. But then Connor's got a campaign that he's written.
I am going to wear this every time I DM.
Good for you. Where I'm going to create a character and he's going to run me through this campaign. And we figured it'll probably take 4 episodes to get through. So we're going to take the whole bunch of
4 to 5 episodes.
We're going to take the whole month of July to do that. And then we'll kick back in August. We'll kick back our segments where we're going to have guests, and I'm going to get some guests lined up for those kind of things because we also got Welcome to the Blunderdome coming. We've got some more Ever-Changing Story coming. We got other things coming. But that will require guests down the road. So what we're going to do now is we're going to just kind of at least get the basics of my character created, so we know what it's going to be. And we've been talking about this, and Connor keeps asking me about my character's name, and I'm like, I don't know, TBD, I haven't come up with a name yet. And he's like, okay, you need to name your character something that has the initials TBD, and that's going to be the Misadventures of TBD. So my character's name is going to be Tiberian Dunhall. TBD, Tiberian Dunhall. So that's
although to be fair, that's TD.
I know.
You need a middle name that starts with B.
Well, it's okay. Then I can do Berian.
That's not how it works.
So it'll be something. That's the closest I can get. Because I mean, how are you gonna...
Tyrone Burius Dunhall. There you go.
Whatever. Anyway, so it's the Misadventures of TBD. I have always wanted to play a monk. I've always been fascinated by the character class of monks. I did get to finally start playing one a while back with some friends of mine, and then COVID hit, and we had to
sell through.
Well, because COVID hit,
Yeah,
kind of shut everything down. And so I've never had a chance to really play a monk through. And that monk, even though we'd only played probably 4 or 5 sessions, kind of became, even though there was a paladin in the group and there was this guy, my monk kind of became the tank of the group. I don't know why it was. I don't know if it was just the rolls or whatever, but I was the one that was...
How does that work?
I don't know, man. I was the one that was taking everybody out because I guess I was getting good rolls and my key points and the multi attacks per round and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I'm going to run a monk, and we're going to run this 1-player campaign. Now Connor says he's going to have an NPC companion for me. I don't know anything about that. That's going to get sprung on me at some point. I don't know anything about the campaign. It's going to happen as it happens.
His name will be Dingo Berry.
So there you go. So I'm going to have a friend named Dingleberry. All right. And he's going to always be stuck in my... He's always going to be stuck on my butt.
The curse of the many gods.
He's going to be always stuck on my butt too. So anyway, so I'm going to play a monk, and I've decided I'm going to go with Wood Elf for the stat bonuses, for the racial bonuses. So I'm going to have a Wood Elf monk.
So boring.
But see, here's the thing, Connor.
You could have been a Leonin, a literal lion person.
I know, but I don't want to do that. But here's the thing. You have to understand something.
Punchy Pussyfoot 2.0.
Yeah, it could have been Punchy Pussyfoot 2.0. That'd have been funny. But here's the thing. We're 2 different generations of D&D. Okay, since I really played, so much has been added to the game that I don't know about. So many more races, so many more things have been added to the game that I just don't know about. I know the basics, and I know that stuff. And so I kind of want to start with almost kind of a vanilla kind of guy to kind of just... Do you realize how long it's been since I've really played D&D, other than that short campaign that I was in until COVID hit? Man, it's been college.
At least a couple decades.
It's been college. I have not played since college, and even then it wasn't that much. It was mostly high school when I played. So what was it? High school or college when you and your friends had those like all night, all weekend kind of D&D? Oh, that was high. That was high school. That was high school. Friday nights after, because we're all band geeks. Friday night after Friday night football games, they all come over to my house. We order a bunch of pizza, and we sit down in the basement, and we literally played Friday night after the game until Sunday morning, nonstop. And when we needed to crash and take a nap and go to sleep, we'd say, "Hey, play my character while I'm crashing." And we would kind of rotate, taking turns sleeping, and literally play from Friday night all day.
What about the DM? How did the DM take a break?
Well, we would take breaks, and he would crash, and we would just all kind of take a break when he needed a break. But yeah, so we would literally play for about 36 straight hours.
That is my dream to one day do that. I want a basement, but it's just that's the thing. Nix doesn't want a house with Nix does not want a house with stairs.
Yeah, that makes sense, especially as you get older. Trust me. So anyway, so I'm gonna roll for my stats for my character stats. And then I want to need time. Yes.
So, since I'm the DM, I'm gonna give you all the same rules and bonuses I have with all my players. So with my players, I am not a forgiving DM. I will absolutely murder you if I roll good. So that's why.
Yay!
My players.
Oh, by the way, I'm wearing my monk shirt. By the way.
Nice.
The road to inner peace is paved with people that I beat up.
So nice. So when I have my players roll for stats, I use a sort of boosted system. So normally people do 46 and take the highest 3. Mm-hmm. For me, you roll 3d6. take the 2 highest, and then add 6.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll on D&D Beyond on there. I'm just going to hit the roll on there and see what happens, and see what the numbers are, and if I'm getting some pretty crappy rolls, then I'll go back and re-roll using your approach to see if I get some better stuff. But let's see what happens, okay?
All
All right.
If you want to risk it,
well, let's see what happens.
Mess around and find out.
All right. So there's that one. I'm just gonna go ahead and roll the 6. So on D&D Beyond, it rolls 4d6, and then you take the highest 3. Okay. And so what I got was on the first roll, I got a 5, 3, and a 1, which comes out to, if you drop the 1, that comes out to a 13. It's not bad.
That's decent.
Then I got a 6, 6, 6, 5. So drop the 5. Got an 18, which is the max you can get.
Well, dang.
Then I got a 6, 4, 4, 2. So that's a 14. So I'm getting some pretty good rolls here. A 6, 6, 4, and 1, which is a 16.
Nice.
And then I got a 5, 3, 1, 1. So there's a 9. And then I got a 6, 6, 3, 3, which is a 15. So I ended up with scores of 13, 18, 14, 16, 9, and 15. Those are pretty stinking good rolls, I think. The 9's not great.
Put that 9 in charisma.
Oh, 100%. I don't care if people like me. Right, 100%.
No, Dad. You don't realize charisma is also used for persuasion, deception, intimidation. It's basically anytime you want information, you use your words, and your words are gonna suck.
Okay, that's fine. So I'm going to put the 18 in my dexterity. Obviously. I'm going to put the 16 in my wisdom for a monk. Kind of needs wisdom. I'm going to put 15 in my constitution. Okay, those are my 3 high scores. Then I'm going to put 14 in intelligence, 13 in strength, because monk needs dexterity more than needs strength. And then I'll put the 9 in the charisma. I think those are pretty good rolls, and I think that's pretty fair. I don't want to go completely overboard, with the scores.
But here's the thing. What are your final totals after adding your racial bonuses? That's the question.
So strength is let's see. Strength 13, dexterity 20, constitution 15, intelligence 14, wisdom 17, charisma 9.
So let's see. So Dad.
Yeah.
So you have an 18 and a 16, correct?
Yes.
So it seems as a wood elf you can add +2 to your dexterity, correct?
Correct. And a +1 to wisdom.
So here's what I would do.
Okay.
To give yourself some extra HP, I would put your 18 in constitution and then your 16 in dexterity, so that that way you'll have 2 18 ability scores.
Okay, so let's see. All right, so if I moved the 16 to dexterity, and I moved the 18
to constitution,
and then that would move my 15 to wisdom.
Yeah, which
would give me a 16.
Yep. Which would so then your dexterity would go down to +4, but your constitution will then get boosted up to +4 and your wisdom to +3.
Okay. Whatever, dude. You're the writer here, so okay.
I'm the dungeon master.
Yeah, I know. So let's see. So yeah, strength would be +1, dexterity +4, constitution +4, intelligence +2, wisdom +3, charisma -1. So I'm not gonna. If I want any information out of anybody, I'm just going to beat it out of them. I'm not going to be able to persuade anybody.
Yeah, that's true.
That's fine. I'll be unlikable, except for whoever my companion's going to be. So, anyway, so
he's going to owe you a blood debt.
So, I'm not going to do any of the rest of it because I need to sit and think about the other stuff. You know, the background, the history, and all that kind of stuff to build the rest of the character. I need some time to think on that. But I knew we could do the scores tonight. So, somebody named TBD, whatever his name's going to be.
Also, make sure you write a backstory as well.
Yeah, I know. I got to work on that. Yeah. So I might do that over the long weekend. Come up with some kind of backstory. But yeah, I'm looking forward to actually playing some D&D. Now, you have to understand, it's been a long time. You're going to have to remind me of some things. And you know, because I asked you, and what is it that I'm going to ask you about because that I can never keep track of? What is it that I always ask you about? No.
What is it? I forget.
Check versus save.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I always get that confused.
Okay.
So we'll deal with that then. We'll deal with that later. You ain't got to tell me now. But I'll say
it's very simple. Just let me say it.
I'll forget it. You'll have to tell me again.
So checks only use your straight up modifiers associated with your D4s. I mean your D20s.
Right.
You know?
But then checks include your proficiency?
No. Checks just use the modifiers associated with your scores. Saving rolls and saving throws then use your proficiency if you are proficient in that certain score.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, we'll figure.
Okay. So for example, barbarians are proficient in strength saving throws, and then I believe either Constitution or Wisdom saving throws as well.
Okay.
So if you are under a grapple effect, you'd use a strength saving throw to get out of it.
Okay. I'm just ready to play.
And then that would use your strength modifier plus your proficiency bonus.
Okay.
And then say you had to escape the effects of a fireball, which is a dexterity saving throw. Since you're not proficient in dexterity saving throws, you would still only use your dexterity modifier. You know.
Okay.
But
I'll forget.
But I believe monks are proficient in dexterity and then wisdom saving throws.
Yep. So I will forget all this. You'll have to tell me this all again next week when I need to do it. Yeah, when you say, okay, give me a such and such saving throw, I go, okay, is that just get ready. Just get ready. So anyway, so I'll have that built for next week. So we'll kind of have the character built, and then we'll kind of play next week. But before we go tonight, because we've been going at this for an hour and a half, we need to roll for the new movie. Let's
do it.
All right, so we're gonna roll for the service. All right, and I rolled an 18, and we kind of replaced Max with Tubi. So we're gonna watch a movie on Tubi because Tubi's got some cool stuff. And so we're gonna watch a movie. We're gonna watch a movie on Tubi, and then I'm gonna roll and see what category. All right. So I rolled a 5. So we're gonna watch a sci-fi movie on Tubi. All right. And I've got Tubi pulled up. I've got all the services pulled up. So I got Tubi pulled up. And then let's see. We're gonna roll and see which one we watch. Ooh, we're gonna go for a deep dive. We're gonna watch the 80th movie, the 80th sci-fi movie in the list on Tubi. The further down we go, the darker it gets. So let me pull that up and and then I'll play us our music, and we'll go from there. All right. So y'all just hang tight. I'm still counting. Okay. So we are going to watch the classic black and white sci-fi movie from 1957, The Astounding She-Monster. The Astounding She-Monster.
The Astounding She-Monster. Okay, then.
And the tagline is, a gang of crooks has kidnapped a rich heiress, and they come up against a beautiful but lethal alien who has crash-landed her spaceship on Earth. So
I have a different tagline. It's to me it says, sci-fi camp goes glam as an heiress and her gangster kidnappers are set upon by a glowing blonde alien who can kill with her radium poison hands.
Right. Okay. And that's probably what's on Tubi. I was reading the tagline off of IMDb so that I could get some other information. So yeah, it's 1957. So it is your classic 50s cheesy sci-fi. It is only an hour and 2 minutes long, so it's not that long. So we won't have to suffer too much. It's basically a long TV show. So we're going to watch The Astounding She-Monster next time. So if you want to talk about cheesy sci-fi movies, and I'm looking at some of the screenshots on IMDb, and there's a screenshot of some guy giving a collie a treat. So I'm guessing they brought Lassie on board, and they're like, "Okay, Lassie, go find her," because I don't understand. It's going to be fun. I haven't watched the cheesy.
She's in the well, Lassie. She's in the well.
I don't know. I haven't watched the cheesy sci-fi from the 50s in a long time, so this should be interesting. So anyway,
this movie sounds like it belongs on Mystery Science Theater.
100%, 100%. And there's nothing that says that it hasn't been. We don't know.
That's true.
So anyway, so we're gonna watch that next time. So
now I want to watch Mystery Science Theater.
Well, okay, find it, watch it. So, yes, it is definitely going to be interesting, Connor. So that's all we've got for this week. Thanks, Jim and Mitch and everybody that did stop by and kind of hung out with us. We're gonna do some D&D stuff, and we're gonna talk female aliens. So next time, and I hope you enjoyed our conversation about sheep and stuff this week. It was so I liked the movie. I did. So
I enjoyed the movie. I don't regret watching it. I just wouldn't actively look to watch it again.
I was pleasantly surprised. So anyway, so y'all go ahead.
It's kind of like if I still had cable. I don't know anybody who still has cable nowadays.
Right.
Now it's all streaming services. But if I did have cable and there was something else to watch, and I was flipping the channels and I saw this movie on, I'd be like, okay, I'll watch this again.
Yeah,
you know.
So anyway, so that's all we got for tonight. Thanks for coming by. If this video goes up on YouTube later on in the week, if you want to just listen to audio, YouTube. If you just want to watch the audio, listen to the audio, just subscribe to the podcast, Gene Pool Variety Hour. You can find it anywhere on any of the podcast services. And we're on Instagram at Gene Pool Variety Hour. I'm on Twitter at Headgamer. The podcast has its own Twitter account, GP Variety Hour on Twitter. You can catch us anywhere there. I'm starting to do a few more TikToks. I've got an idea for a series of TikToks I'm going to do just for fun. I found a new service called Swellcast, which is like a 5-minute audio podcast through your phone. I might start doing like a little daily 5-minute thing. I haven't figured out what I want to do with it yet, but stay tuned for all that. That stuff's coming down the pike. We're going to do this D&D thing for the month of July, and then we'll start having guests again in August. I'll be down at DragonCon in Labor Day weekend, at least for a couple of days. I don't think I'm going to be able to stay for the whole time this year, but I'm going to be down for at least a couple of days, and so I'll have some reports from there too. So anyway, y'all have a great week, great 4th weekend. Don't be dumb. Don't be stupid. Be safe. And come back and see us next Friday night at 7 o'clock, and we'll do it again. And always
Dad.
Yes. Go before we go. Yes, I was about to hit you. Go.
This is America celebrating its birthday. When has that ever ended in safety?
Hold my beer. Watch this.
Exactly.
There you go.
I mean, Dad, even in our family, my own brother shot a bottle rocket out of his navel.
Mm-hmm. Your dad used to have bottle rocket fights with his friends. Your dad used to hold firecrackers, like the small lady fingers, the little firecrackers. We would hold them in our hands and just let them blow up in our hands. Yeah, that's what we would do. We would.
How are you even alive?
We also found, but of course that was New Year's Eve though. We found a dead squirrel that got electrocuted by the transformer, and we used jumping jacks, the ones that spin, and make all the glowy balls, and gave it some jumping jacks enemas, and made his stomach expand and glow, and then smoke came out its butt. We did not kill the squirrel. The squirrel was already dead. We found it on the side.
Hold on.
Yeah.
You said the squirrel died of electrocution on fire.
On the transformer. Right? Yeah, because we saw it. We were outside shooting off fireworks on New Year's Day, and we saw it get electrocuted and fall down dead. So yes.
Oh, okay. 2 things. One, it probably got electrocuted because it pissed itself scared seeing you guys fire off explosions near him.
It's not my fault that it pissed on the electrical wire.
And
sorry.
Two, do you think witnessing that helped inspire one of your best known disgusting stories?
Could have been. All I know is that it was quite the sight to see a glowing, expanding belly and then smoke coming out the butt. That was an interesting.
I think me and my cousins did the same thing to an armadillo carcass.
This is what Generation X folks did. We did this kind of stuff. We shot each other with bottle rockets. Okay, we jumped our bikes off of ramps and hit walls.
We fought with pine cones just 5 feet outside our door. Cones. Remember?
I played dodgeball with rocks. Okay, don't give me pine cones.
Those things hurt.
That's like a pine cone. I got a scratch. Have you
ever had pine cone spines stuck inside your stomach to the point of your mother needing to dig in with tweezers and pull them out?
Have you ever watched blood spurt in your field of view as the rock hits your top lip and you go to the ER to get stitches because you're playing dodgeball with rocks? No. Have you ever been riding a ride at one of the carnival places down in Florida and a bolt pops off the ride, hits your bottom lip, and the dude goes, "Dude, you better go to the bathroom." As blood is running down your face, you go to the bathroom and go, "Oh, look, I can stick my finger through my lip. I punched a hole through my lip with a bolt."
Dad,
come on, man.
Dad, real quick.
Pine cones. Are you serious?
How is
Please.
your face not covered in scars? How is your face not covered in scars?
You can still feel the scar tissue from the bottom. I don't think you can feel them from the top. And I played trumpet for years after that. So there you go.
Yeah, that's true.
Go figure. So anyway, so
you are
welcome
a
to
medical marvel.
Welcome to Generation X. All right.
What generation am I?
I think you're like Generation Z or Y or I don't know. So he's consulting. He's consulting with the peanut gallery. So anyway, we're gonna go. As soon as he comes back, I'm waiting on him. I'm going to keep filling time because my son has decided to have a conversation elsewhere. So there we go.
My bad.
All right. So we're going to go. And we will see you guys next Friday night on Twitch at 7 o'clock. And always remember,
stay nerdy, my friends.
You're still here? It's over. Go home.